So this UK punk rap grime duo is kind of confusing. You know, they've mixed kind of a lot of things together. They are expected to lose over £500,000 in revenue after doing this at Glastonbury, the UK's biggest festival.
Free, 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 free. Alright, but have you heard this one though? Death, F, death, death, the IDF.
Now, this had serious repercussions for the duo. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, came out and condemned them for hate speech. And the police force responsible for the area where Glastonbury took place, Avon and Somerset Police Force, said they have launched a criminal investigation into the duo and also into another band called Kneecap because both of them expressed their support for Palestine. Now, me personally, with Bob Vylan, if these guys said death to Israelis, death to Jews, I would completely understand a criminal investigation. But the way I see it is they're wishing death on a foreign army. But they could run into trouble if they're charged with Section 5 of the Public Order Act 1986, where if they find that this chant caused people considerable alarm and distress, they might be fined. If the police investigation is able to conclude that they intended to stir up racial hatred, racial tensions, then they could be looking at up to 7 years in prison for this. And because they said death to the IDF, they could also be charged under terrorism, under the Terrorism Act of 2015, where they could also face up to 7 years in prison. They were dropped from the Radar Festival in Manchester after the Jewish Representative Council got involved. They were dropped from performing at Cave Fest, which they would have actually been doing right now. It goes on from the 4th to the 6th of July in France. They had a support slot cancelled in Cologne, Germany. But more importantly for them, they had their US visas revoked. Yes, the United States of America ended up revoking their visas, and they had 20 tour dates planned for the United States of America. Now I'll tell you guys this, if there's one place I don't want to run into problems in and don't want to have any visa problems with, it's the United States. Obviously, because they were performing there, they had to get a visa because they're British citizens, and we don't need a visa to go there. We just need an ESTA to go to the United States, and then I think we can stay there for like 6 months or something like that. But now that these guys have had their visa revoked, they may be banned from entering the United States up to 10 years. Now, just the Manchester, the France, and the Germany shows probably costed Bob Vylan around £30,000 in expected revenue. And a lot of you guys watching might be thinking, but who the hell are Bob Vylan? Why would they do this? Well, back to normal Tankz format. Bob Vylan, here we look at their Spotify. They have under 500,000 monthly listeners. So you guys might be thinking, how the hell are these guys getting booked for Glastonbury? Why are these guys got so many shows booked? Well, their story is actually quite inspiring, Bob Vylan. They founded themselves in 2017 and they managed to build themselves a cult following. They're a punk group, and I actually have been listening to their music. One song that I did like, it says They Added 3 days ago, was his song with Amy Taylor. I actually started listening to Amy Taylor a little bit. Not her actual Spotify, but the band that she's a part of that I forgot. But there's one song that I like. Amy Taylor is an Australian punk singer. Now, this music might not be for everybody. It's probably not for you. You're probably thinking, what on earth has that done to my ears? But I'm able to recognize the talent in music. As someone who used to make music myself, I'm able to recognize, okay, this is skill, this is talent, this is that. And I'm able to hear the message through it. I like all types of music. I like house music. I like Steve Bug. I like techno. I like punk music. I like everything, all right? But because these guys are very alt, yeah? They have a loyal cult following who will buy their merchandise, who will attend their shows. These numbers on Spotify are terrible. I've probably got way more streams than these guys on Spotify. My one song probably has more streams than these guys on Spotify. But these guys have fans who will buy their merchandise, who will go to their shows. That's where the bulk of their money comes from. And they've always been political, and they've always stood on what they say. Hence why they never ended up signing with a record label, opting to stay independent, which gives you more creative control and more freedom. If you were signed to a record label, it'd be against your contract probably to do something like this, do a stunt like this, that could cost the label so much money if they've invested a lot into your career. I mean, this was so crazy. I mean, Ofcom was flooded with complaints to the point where they launched an urgent review. Ofcom is, you know, they're in charge of what's allowed to get broadcast on TV, radio, and if you do anything wrong and they get a bunch of complaints, you have to answer to them. The BBC even ended up removing it from BBC iPlayer. Usually Glastonbury, the BBC will leave it on BBC iPlayer and let you watch it back. The BBC ended up removing it, and the BBC actually ended up apologizing for not cutting the performance and actually broadcasting it, which is what they're going to have to answer to Ofcom. It even led to Lisa Nandy, the Culture Secretary of the United Kingdom, questioning the BBC's editorial oversight.
I would like to make a statement about the events at Glastonbury this weekend. Members of Parliament will have seen, as I have, the appalling appalling and unacceptable scenes at Glastonbury on Saturday, where chants of death to the IDF and river to the sea, amongst others, were broadcast to the nation.
Hey, my people, it's currently Friday. I'm drinking a Magnum by myself. It's 10 o'clock and yeah, I have no life. So please like the video. Please, I have no life. Like the video. Even the Israeli embassy said they were deeply disturbed by this being broadcasted. But these guys were under United Talent Agency, UTA, one of the biggest management agencies, management agencies in the world. UTA dropped them as soon as the show was done, and I know why. Because the only reason they were performing at Glastonbury was because of United Talent Agency. Because if you're not backed by a major label, then you need some crazy good management to get you into these festivals. It's not even necessarily about how big you are, how many tickets you're going to sell with these type of things. It's about who is your management, who can get you into these places. And if you don't have any certain management, like, you're going to see the money dry up. You're not going to be getting booked as much. You're going to miss out on a lot of passive income because they'll do sync deals, you know? Oh, your song's used in a movie. Your song's moved in a TV show. Your song's used in an advert. Without a management agency, that's not going to happen. So we're unsure of Bob Vylan, what their net worth is now, but they've definitely missed out on over £500,000 worth of revenue because of this, him doing this. And you want to know my personal opinion, guys? I respect it. I respect everybody's right to protest. I don't think there's anything wrong with wishing death on a foreign military. I would have a bigger problem with it if instead of saying death to the IDF, if he said death to the RAF. That's me personally. I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I think when you join an army, like, what are you doing in an army? You're there you're gonna go kill people. You're not there to do good. You might believe you're doing good, but every single army on the planet believes that they're fighting for good. There are always going to be people who view you as the bad guys. If it was targeted at Jewish people directly or Israeli citizens directly, then I would condemn this. Israel, the United Kingdom, the United States, the European Union, all of us are allies. You know what I mean? We can all agree that what's happening in Gaza is wrong and we all want it to stop 100%. There's no buts coming after that either. Like, what's happening in Gaza is wrong. And you can kind of look at it as a national security issue. But we'll see if it's a national security issue if they end up charging him under counterterrorism acts, which I don't think they're going to do. But from their perspective, inciting hatred, which is how they're going to interpret it, inciting hatred, saying death, to a military that this country is heavily aligned with, that uses their military base in Cyprus to help that army. And America, people would argue that America is the UK's best ally, strongest ally, and America says that Israel is their greatest ally. So can you see why, from a governmental perspective, it might look like a national security issue? Like, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. If he said death against Jewish people, death to Israeli citizens, I'd condemn that. This would be a completely different conversation right now. But I think a couple of days ago, I saw some news about Trump agreeing a 60-day ceasefire with Israel, and he's waiting on Gaza, the government of Gaza, to agree to it. We're not sure the terms on that, but we just want to see the suffering stop, because them videos I've seen on Telegram and Twitter are just like, fam, it's fam. And I believe in everyone's right to protest, you know? And I just think militaries are violent anyway. Saying it to a military is, I don't see that as a big deal. I think Bob Vylan's done this on purpose. I think he knew what was going to come, because I don't know what else he expected to happen. But one thing I respect about Bob Vylan, he's standing on business. He's standing on what he's saying, bro. And one thing a lot of people don't seem to get is a real protest is making a sacrifice. That is how you show that you really stand for something, by sacrificing something to stand for what you believe. That is a protest, and that's what Bob Vylan is doing, and I rate it. And on the 1st of July, 3 days ago, Bob Vylan released his official response to this, where he said, "We are not for the death of Jews, Arabs, or any other race or group of people. We are for the dismantling of a violent military machine. We are a distraction from the story, and whatever sanctions we receive will be a distraction." He's even making it clear, I do not wish death on us. This isn't me trying to be anti-Semitic. Further proving my point, which I respect it even more. He's giving people even more clarity that he is not talking about a specific group of people. He's talking about a military. So is this being blown out of proportion? Anyone watching who's Jewish? Anyone Jewish watching? Did this make you feel alarmed and distressed? Do you find this anti-Semitic? Like, what do you think? If we look here at Bob Vylan's recent Instagram story here, obviously he's posting this, and then he's reposting other bands, Jen the band, Scratch Music, other people who are not supporting Radar Festival happening in Manchester right now. And is that, don't tell me that's Bob Villain in the crowd at Radar Festival. Yeah, he doesn't give a toss, man. This is someone who stands on what he says. This is a punk rapper, bro. Crazy Donny, bro. I rate him, man. Stand on business, Bob. Stand on business, bro. But yeah, guys, I think we've covered everything in this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Chung-Lee, this is going to be an interesting one. What do you actually think about this? Chung-Lee reckons that this is a little bit of a national security threat, but after hearing his statement, they feel okay about it. Chung-Lee says as long as it's directed at a foreign military, they couldn't really give a toss. And you know, Chung-Lee, I respect it, Chung-Lee. Thank you guys for watching so much. Peace and love to every single one of you guys, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.